Hello and welcome to another set of turns of Dominions 5. I'm the False God. We are playing as Porphyrion in our Hellenica game. Again, this is Late Age Phalegra. We're jumping in on turn 12. If my computer wants to cooperate. Okay, so we went ahead and claimed the Crystal Throne, which is nice. This is the crazy Yathul nation who's like only their pretender, but the pretender gets like master and slave or something. I don't know what the nation does. He didn't spawn near us, so we'll find out later what he does. But he's also claimed a throne. We got a deep crevasse. That's an earth gem, which is nice. We got 3 magic sites here: ancient temple, deep crevasse, and singing stones. So that's an astral pearl, another earth gem, and another earth and air gem. So bring us up to 2 air gems, 6 fire, 7 earth, 2 pearls, 1 death, and 3 blood slaves. Still no nature. So need to work on that. Dormant pretender gods are waking up. Doesn't matter too much for us at the moment. Here we can see Delphine is also pinging this throne. So if we're going to take it, we need to run, or they're going to get it before we do. We got a barbarian horde show up. It's pretty unfortunate. We lost some gold. You know, we do have misfortune. The barbarians killed our scout and our PD. And we finished a fortress and a castle. So the problem here is, right, they're a little out of the way. And ideally, you know, the god kills barbarians, but we need our god. Look at the movement, by the way. Moving a full 3 provinces. We need our god to get up here and take this. And we need it to happen soon. We can see what looks like a group from Delphine who could be moving up here. Now, this is 30 away from here, so it's going to take us another turn still. We won't be able to 1-turn move this. Which is unfortunate. We only have 22 map move, but, you know, if we bump them, that's probably fine. We can probably bump this and win. If we do bump this and win, we'll probably have to just go and attack Delphine on the back of that opportunity. We are still vulnerable. It's turn 12, right? We have some troops, but not a lot. You know, our army size is not all that big from the original starting point. You know, we've got 55 of our Iron Guard who are nice, but we haven't really had the resources yet in our other forts to make much more than a couple guys. Now, this particular turn, we're very low on gold, which is like the first time it's happened. I believe we are making a number of things. We're making a palisade. This palisade, I think, had already started. Yeah, that one's almost finished. We are making a lab. I think those are the only buildings. I want a castle. And a palisade. So, we're making a lot of buildings this turn, which is why we're not using up all of our recruitment. But we are still making a couple guys, and our overall resources are still not super duper high. So, as we get more of our Cyclops Smiths, that will change. But so, yeah, we're going to keep building additional forts. We need to take this back, and we need to try and get this throne. Again, we have naps with on 3 sides. The only one we don't have a nap with is Delphine. So, have to look at them as a potential target. Obviously, though, if our neighbors get weak or get attacked by somebody and we can vulture, we can always end naps. You know, they're not a lifelong allegiance. They're more of a, you know, a small heads up that we're on our way. So, we're doing that. Should work out fine. But other than that, I don't think we're doing too much this turn. Again, our research, we are forging an owl quill. I think just the one for now. We still haven't managed to get a second air random. We've made, what, 6, 7 of them so far. Just 1 air random, so I think it's 1 out of 3? 1 out of 4? So, I mean, it's a little unlucky, but it's not really all that unlucky. Yeah, we have 2 of the fires, 2 of the earths, and then that must be, what, 2 of the waters? Yeah. So a little unlucky, but nothing to really complain about just yet. So our research is still at 86, but we're going to start going up enchantment to grab flaming arrows to pair with our crossbows and wind guide. I think is the sort of the general idea. You have a lot of great spells. I mean, you have access to all the elemental paths at arbitrarily high levels with communions. So elementals are on the table, evocations are on the table. Again, we have plenty of archers, so wind guide, flaming arrows is on the table. You can use, we don't have too much construction yet, but you can use the bowl of ashes here, which gives a temporary earth gem to be very efficient. So it costs 5 fire gems, but for us, right, it actually costs 1 fire gem as long as you're using a hammer and having a smith do it, which you would. The only issue would be if you run out of hammers. But that's 1 fire gem for 1 temporary earth gem. So you use it once and you've paid off, minus the mage turn. And if you're able to keep using it, it's obviously very helpful. But so this lets you fuel easy earth elementals or cheap earth elementals, maws of the earth potentially. Let's see if there's anything else good that makes sense early on. I think is there a way to filter on just combat spells? Yes, it's combat. Oh, but you can't do earth spells and combat spells. Okay. Fine. But yeah, earth elemental is 1 gem. You can do, it would make cursive stones cheaper, although I don't know that you want this in general. Obviously our god has it. And it doesn't affect friendly units. Our god has it, which is why it's not super important. It's not necessarily a great spell, but at 1/3 of the price, it's a lot better. Yeah, and like I said, Maws of the Earth, super helpful. Area of effect is boosted by your paths, and it's only a 3, so we could potentially get it up above that and get a huge area Maws of the Earth at no real cost. It also makes things like lightning resistance cheap. You can just field as much lightning resistance as you need, depending on if we go against somebody who's employing that strategy. Evocation, I think the main reason the nation has it is to make casting Titanic Trembler cheap and free. Now again, this is a spell, it's at level 4, but it cares about your strength of caster added. And so when we look at who can cast it on our nation now, we have the Cyclops, right? 26 strength. So if you can get them to cast it, that's awesome. But you can't really get them to cast it because they're communion slaves. So you're then left with this guy who has a strength of 8. Or this guy who has a strength of 11, strength of 10. You could put items on them. They could have them buff their strength. Like, you could maybe find a way to use it, but really it's a spell that's going to come online with the Lestragonians, who then will be able to, using this version of the spell and that bowl, cast it at no cost. It makes Earthquakes cheaper. In enchantment, Sow Dragon Teeth is another great one. That's a little higher level, it's all the way up at 6. But this makes 10 Spartae warriors who are super good. They are not undead, like they are magic. They have a bunch of protection. They have good poison resistance and cold resistance. 10 of them is quite a lot. They have magic weapons. So it would cost, you just throw those on some mages. And it's Earth 1 to cast, right? So it's Earth 2. Super easy for our mages to cast. You just give a bunch of masters this free Earth gem, and you can be pumping out, 50, 100 of these Spartae, who are going to form a great wall for your mages to cast behind. Now, you already have a lot of big walls, but, if you need magic weapons, if you need certain things, the Spartae can do a lot of great work. I don't think there's too much for us in Thaum. Yeah. Wow, Earth gets nothing. Is this really everything Earth gets in Thaum? Dang. I sometimes you don't really consider how little certain paths get. But yeah, there's nothing for Earth in Thaumaturgy. But so anyway, free Earth, make very cheap, repeatable source of Earth gems is fantastic for us. And that's going to go for other gem gen items as well, though potentially to a lesser extent, right? The Elemental Apprentice is still going to cost us 6. and make 2 fire gems. So you got to use them 3 times to pay off. After that, you're in good shape. So you have to use it a lot more times, but also very possible. I don't know. We have Lucid's Thematic Gem Gen on, so I don't know all the gem generators as well. The Magma Scepter makes a Magma Child and produces 3 temporary fire gems, but this costs 15. So the more expensive it is, we're not sitting on like a Steel Ovens or something. The more expensive it is, the less our bonus is impactful. You can usually tell the thematic gem gen items. They just look a little bit different. Now that's only, let's check. That guy only has some of our paths. Let's see. Do we have anybody who has more? All of our big versatile path mages aren't doing something. This guy could theoretically see another one. No, that one's, I recognize that one. Okay. Nothing else at this level. But again, when we sort of consider what we're going to be able to do, oh, there is fire in a jar. I'm kind of silly. Elemental Apprentice, fine. 2 temporary fire gems cost 10. Fire in a jar costs us just a single gem to make temporary fire gems. So that is going to be very similar in giving access to free each combat fire elemental. Also, Will-O-Wisp can be very good at messing people up. They're very hard to hit, and so they can distract enemies quite effectively. Fire. Yeah, so Will-O-Wisp and Fire Elemental. In Alteration. Oops, that's a ritual. Cold Resistance, also very helpful. Solar Eclipse can be cast by our cap-only mages. Now, this doesn't help us. We don't want to fight in the darkness. But, it's there. In Fire, in Evocation, not a lot you need gems for in combat. You can make some stuff cheaper. But, not until you get something like Firestorm does it actually do much. It can be extremely effective. Well, our nation's a little odd. If we get fire mages that don't have Communion Master, or we don't want to bring Communion Slaves for some reason, you can do Fire in a Jar into Phoenix Pyre and cast Pillar of Fire up at level 8, which is not nothing. Pretty far away, though. It would give us the gem we need for Flaming Arrows for free and Flame Ward. So we have access to potentially all of the resistances at no gem cost per battle. Obviously, they cost gems to get those items set up. They use up slots. If you lose the items, you're in trouble, etc. But it really defrays the cost of being able to bring all those resistances to a fight. So that is very helpful. And finally, Thaum. Nothing until Hydrophobia, which is pretty far away. So those are definitely things that we're going to want to consider as good ways to build on our cheap forging. All those 5 gen items just become so tasty. So I'm trying to think of anything else. This is Sacred Units only, which doesn't help us. Ring of Water Breathing. Bracers. Pebble Pouch. We get a national discount on this. I don't know. Yeah, so that's only 20% off, so it actually doesn't help us. Unless this had a weird cost to begin with. Because it's still going to cost us a single gem. But does this like throw pebbles or like throw boulders? Yeah. Becomes a boulder. Can only be used by giants. Size 4, strength 20. And it gives you a weapon that adds a shockwave. That could be really useful if we're up against elves or something. Keep that in mind. We do have TNN in this game, so that could be really helpful. We don't need to make this an entire review of every single item that's out here, but just as, just sort of examples of a lot of the really cool stuff you can do to very efficiently on this nation. Free cheap dragon helmets is we Boots of Giant. You could put like Boots of Giant Strength on your mage that you want to cast Titanic Trembler. I don't think we want to be giving trample to anybody, but anyway, and this is all at level 2, so I'm sure we'll hit level construction 4 and we'll do a whole nother deep dive. Now that I've spent a whole bunch of time sort of blathering on about construction items, we will go ahead and go to the next turn because we're not doing too much else here. Only took 15 minutes to get through the first turn where we had one battle. 13. So, we finished researching enchantment. TNN has put, yeah. TNN has put up something. It's a TNN, it's like a cheap, here, let's just see what it is. It's Fata Morgana, but it's the TNN version, so it costs less. It's way lower in tech, obviously. And it's going to give him extra province defense, minus unrest, and false scout reports. So, gotta watch out for that. Now, we don't border TNN, so we don't actually have to watch out for it anytime soon, but theoretically, we may eventually have to watch out for it. We found 3 magic sites here. A mineral cave for another earth, boiling bog, fire water, and another 2 air. So, our gems are starting to get much increased. I think that we do... So obviously it is, it's theoretically balanced, right? But Hellenica is set in the early age. And I think that sometimes the late age nations that get sucked into the early age can really benefit from the extra gems that they have available. And in particular, right, with our cheap forging and extra gems, we're going to be able to just have so much good equipment for our Lastragonians that you would not otherwise be able to get. So that's super nice. Delphines has a new personal space artist. New prophet. This is Rebirth. Plus 7 air gems. Awesome. Bad Omens is bad. And we finished some more Palisades. So we now have, right, this completed fort. This completed fort. Palisades, Palisades. Palisades under construction. Castle under construction, Palisades under construction. Oh, we can get here. Why did you tell me that this was too far? Oh. It's range 30. I have map move 22. It must be... Do I have, like, swamp survivability or something? Does it... Maybe it doesn't know that I'm amphibious? Because it's having me go around. I think that's probably what's happening. Because I don't have, like, swamp survival or anything. Not that there's a swamp in the way, but I'm sure that's it. So we're going to go try and take this. We see a lot fewer military units than we did before. Could be a scout report thing. It doesn't look to me like they have enough units to take this. But I'm fairly confident in our god's ability to bop the small peeps. So we're going to try and get this thrown as well. And then we're going to come back for this barbarian. Let's see, we got our second air version. So now we're producing 2 owl quills at 1 gem each per turn. We're making another dwarven hammer. In this case, I elected to get the research going a little faster and spend the extra 2 earth gems. We have more earth income than air income. And we have an immediate need for the air income. So we're gonna go ahead and make another dwarven hammer. And go from there with our owl quills. So it's still pretty slow, right? We're adding an owl quill is what, like 6 research? Oops. Yeah, 6 research. So I think the adding of the owl quills, right, is really just to keep us competitive research wise. It's not going to get us like too ahead. You know, spending a mage turn, it is helpful, and I think it's 100% worth doing. But it's not, you know, a lightless lantern or a skull mentor. But it is 1 gem, and it's what we have. So we've already got 3 out at least. Yeah, is it just the 3 out so far? But that's adding, you know, an extra mage worth of research already. Or mage and a half. These guys are 11, and there are better researchers. So 17 with the quill. So it's gonna help. Besides that, we're just gonna go around. We're gonna keep site searching. We're gonna try and take this throne. We're gonna keep watching our neighbors for signs of weakness. But yeah, not a ton going on this turn. Let's go ahead. We'll jump to 14. We'll probably call that the last turn of the episode, but we can at least check out this throne battle. All right, we'll come back for the magic sites. We have, it looks like we did not get a bump with Delphines. We go ahead and cast our Curse of Stones. Why is nobody affected by Curse of Stones? I guess a lot of them resisted. Just adds the extra fatigue. We're not very afraid of what they can do here. We're seeing Starfires come out. You know, it's a thing. We have a lot of hit points. These archers are going to deal a decent amount of hits on their own troops here. And we're just going to we're going to bop them. We'll check on our HP, though. 303 right now. All right, there's a rout on the infantry. We're at 274. So you can see we do take damage, right? We are not immortal. We can't fight an infinite number of units. But we have fear, and it's very hard for them to really stand up against us. So we go ahead and take that. That is the Throne of the Moon. So diminishing spread is great. Growth +1, unfortunately, does not help us. Should have taken growth 2, but we didn't really have anything this. You know, we could have bumped our luck, I guess. But you know, growth 2. If we find a death site, it's helpful. Blessed troops get precision +3. This is medium on our cap only, but we obviously that's our only sacred unit until, you know, alt 9. And 2 gems. So this is, I would say, not a great throne for us. We didn't really look at all the thrones that are available, but let's see what's here. So this clearly wasn't a level 3 throne, so it couldn't have been that. Throne of the First Age increases magic, and blessed troops get +1. Okay, this is probably better than this, because this plus magic isn't that helpful for us, and we have no blessed troops. Growth +1, 3 nature. 3 nature would be better than the 2 gems of the other one. This would be great if we can find it now, because the death will be offset. 5 death gems would be better. But at this moment, it's true, I don't want the throne. Before I had my Throne of the Moon, I didn't want the Throne of Death. I wouldn't want to cut my growth scales. Throne of Fortune would be tremendous. Throne of Misfortune would also be tremendous, because we already have... Actually, no. We only have Misfortune 2. I don't know about this one when you're already on Misfortune 2. Going to Misfortune 3 really sucks. The Inner Throne would be tremendous. The Inner Throne would be great. Then we'd have 6 blood per turn, which would be really nice. Inner Throne would be one of my top ones to get. Outer Throne. Throne of the Moon is what we got. Obviously, Fire's already out there. Gnomes would be tremendous if we'd gotten the Throne of Earth. We don't have any nature besides our lizards. So the Gnome would have been great. The Windmaster is fine. Air Shield is, again, only going to impact our one guy, so it's sort of whatever. This Adept of the Iron Order is pretty good. I would have liked to get them. So it's basically, you get, on the Crystal Throne, it's 2 gems, and you don't get the random, compared to the Iron Order, which produces resources, which you may or may not need. We kind of do and don't. But they get this random... which is pretty nice. Silver is 100 gold and another Great Mage. And Knowledge. Knowledge would be pretty nice for us. Kind of. We have Drain 3, so they don't research very well. We do have a lot of extra magic that we're trying to get. It's iffy. In any event, though, we're making now... Let's see, 2 owl quills. We're making 3 owl quills per turn, so we're adding an extra 18 research every single turn. So that's going to start to compound. Let's see. Yep, so we're getting people kitted out with their quills. We're recruiting people everywhere. Currently, we're recruiting mostly Mouflon cavalry or cataphracts. Pretty soon, we'll probably switch to crossbowmen or helot archers. depending on how quickly we think we need to fight. So again, I think that we are somewhat vulnerable in this moment. It depends how relevant our god is. If our god's relevant, we're not vulnerable at all. If somebody has a plan to beat our god, even backed up by our army, we're vulnerable. But we have naps, so I'm not feeling too nervous. We need to go get our thrones back. This is our only scout province. And scouts are good, and we have like 1 or 2. We only managed to get like 2 out of here before the Barbs took it. So our god's going to claim, and then he's going to look to go back and get this Barb province. And we're going to send, we're going to keep sides destroying. I think we're going to recruit, yep, we're going to recruit a guy because we're going to make another fortress next turn. We have the money, and I don't know what else to do with it. You know, we're recruiting as many troops as we can, recruiting as many mages as we can. We're not under-templed, which I often have a problem with in games, but in this case I have so much money that we haven't had that problem. We might even be over-templed. Like here, this temple is probably dubious because, you know, there's only so many priests we want to make. And with this throne, we're going to pump out a lot of Dominion. But pretty happy with where we are on turn 14. I think, yeah, I think if you offered me this spot, I would say that we're in an above average spot. I think we would take this. So, pretty happy with it. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining me. We'll go ahead and call this one here. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Have a great day.